we're helping these businesses. If they're making the switch to more eco-friendly materials from single-use plastic, sometimes there's an additional cost. And these are businesses that are really struggling to get by right now. They took COVID. So what we're trying to do is offset some of that cost by giving them a lot of PR, extra love, and, sort of generate some maybe passive aggressive peer pressure for other businesses in downtown Mobile to also make the switch.
This is festivalPass Stories, a podcast series is told by the people who create and make festivals come to life. You will go behind the stage, kitchen, or studio door to hear the stories of passion and inspiration that started some of the world's most beloved festivals. Hear the startup stories and how an idea went from what if to what's next. Folks, yes, welcome back. This is the festivalPass Stories podcast. We are presented by Dos Hombres Mezcal, the artisanal mezcal, meant to be shared, created by Aaron Paul and Brian Cranston. Have a drink with us at doshombres.com/delivery. And you ever wanted to have the opportunity to invest in a product early that could be the next Airbnb? I can see that my guests today are very intrigued by this. We'll learn why entrepreneurs and celebrities with exits approaching $10 billion have already invested in festivalPass. Go to invest.festivalpass.com to learn more. And my guests today are like, tell us more about that. No, they want to tell us more about what they are up to because they are running, quite literally, because they actually have a race that they do, one of their very many events that they run throughout the year. They are running, in quotes and not in quotes, live events all year, but next month is one of their biggest and most fun. It's called Bay Bites. So say hello to Alabama's own Cece Pless and Caine O'Rear of Mobile Baykeeper. A little bit of a Southern accent snuck in there, and I apologize. I'm like a reverse carpetbagger trying to pull that off there, but hey, Cece, Caine, how are you guys?
Well, it's great to be here. First, thanks so much for having us on the podcast.
Hello.
Now, I'm looking at that shirt, and that kind of screams Crimson Tide to me. Is it always Roll Tide?
Well, I went to college in Virginia, but I grew up going to games at the University of Alabama since I was about 4. I'm not as fanatical as a lot of people around here, but I definitely root for the Tide.
All right.
I'm a little bit of the opposite. So, and I shouldn't say that actually. I'm absolutely an Alabama fan. Roll Tide.
Yes.
I went to school in upstate New York, which made me an Alabama fan.
Oh.
Being from Alabama, I could have cared less about football growing up. But when I went to New York, I realized that I had to carry a little bit of my Alabama pride with me.
Yeah.
Became an Alabama college football fan when I was in New York.
Yeah, so that is really where the University of Alabama is spending their marketing dollars in upstate New York because they know they're like,
100%.
what are they going to root for Syracuse up here? Come on, they got nobody. So I love it. And I say Alabama's own, and you guys have kind of covered there already. But Caine, you are from Mobile, and now you're back home. You're in Virginia, you're wherever, but you're back home making a difference. That has got to be fulfilling. Why don't you just let everybody know a little bit more about the mission of Baykeeper? Can I call it Baykeeper? Do the cool kids call it Baykeeper? Okay.
So we are an environmental nonprofit or a conservation nonprofit, and we've been around for about 20 years, and we're part of this national federation called the Waterkeeper Alliance, which is a consortium of organizations across the country that work for clean water and fight industrial pollution. So we look after the Mobile Bay watershed, which, the centerpiece is Mobile Bay, but the watershed actually comprises about 2/3 of the state. So Alabama is a state that's really rich in rivers. I think we have maybe more rivers kind of per square mile than any other state in the country. So Mobile Bay is essentially the catch basin for all of those rivers that flow through Alabama. So all the junk that may end up in a river in Birmingham eventually finds its way down to Mobile Bay. So,
as they say, it flows downriver.
It definitely does. And we actually, crap rolls downriver. And actually one of the big parts of the mission is we test 14 different sites in and around Mobile Bay on a weekly basis. And we're testing for fecal bacteria and making sure it's safe to swim, play, and work in the bay. So that's a big part of the mission. And, events like Bay Bites, the proceeds from that go toward that work, for instance.
And I want to get into that in a minute, but Cece, now you grew up in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And then you said city girl from the South goes to college in upstate New York at Skidmore. It is a gorgeous town in Saratoga, but you felt that pride to get back to Alabama. But when you were there, is that when you were in upstate New York? I mean, there's, Alabama's got the rivers, but New York's got their rivers. We got the mighty Hudson, of course. And is that where your love of conservation came in, with the rivers and streams and forests and all the wildlife of New York State, or was that just in you as a kid growing up?
I would say it's been with me my whole life. I grew up on the rivers and lakes in Alabama, and my mom's actually from the lake region and kind of central northern United States, and she grew up in northern Michigan and on Lake Michigan, so the Great Lakes. And I've just spent a lot of time on water my whole life. I was in upstate New York for college. After college, I moved to Boston, Massachusetts, and spent time on, the rivers in Massachusetts, as well as on the ocean and being on open water for the first time. And even on the Cape, I was, exposed to a different kind of water. And that was really a new experience water-wise. But I've just been kind of transformed by water my whole life. So I knew I wanted to be engaged with water and kind of giving everyone access to utilizing it and being able to enjoy it and participate with it in a clean and healthy way.
Well, as Michigan and Minnesota are to lakes, Alabama is to rivers. And, I never thought of it that way. I just never really thought of Alabama that way. And I guess we've talked Roll Tide already. It kind of starts there. But now you guys are educating me on the love of rivers in Alabama. So let's get right into it, because what else would we do? Just clear our throats for 20 minutes? No, we're going to talk about the Bay Bites Festival. It's around the corner. Thank you, first of all, for fitting us in, because I know you're planning. There's so much going on and everybody's obviously very excited, where, as I imagine last year, it may have been more of a muted celebration. And this year you're like, come one, come all, throw the masks somewhere, but not in the river. Not in the river. Cece, what's happening? Where are you guys in the stage right now? And what can we expect to see at this festival? Because this is festivalPass. The people are looking for festivals. They're excited. They're starving for live content. Give it to them.
So we're about a month out from the date. It's going to be July 22nd. So getting close.
July 22nd. Let me check. Okay. All right. I'm writing it down.
Put it on your calendars. We're lining up our food trucks. We have Simone French and the Touye Troupe, who is originally, she's a Mobilian, a local musician, but also someone who has performed on The Voice and American Idol. So she's kind of an American celebrity, if you will. And a really cool kind of Creole jazzy performer. So we're really excited to have her. She's also somebody who she was kind of one of our local favorite musicians that, just as Baykeepers, we love. Phil and Foster, they play at one of our favorite bars down the street. They helped her kind of step into her career as a professional musician. So we're excited to have her come perform and get to know her as well, and be a part of her professional career, even though she's been playing for years now. So it's going to be a really fun time. We always enjoy the food. We have Gulf Distributing, who's one of our big sponsors, is bringing a lot of good beer.
Nice. I saw that. I saw that it was almost highlighted. Cold, refreshing beer. Tell us about the beer.
Yes. So we do a lot of work with Gulf Distributing, and they work with a lot of local breweries as well as national distributors. We have so far on the lineup, they are hoping to work with, and don't quote me on this.
Oh, I won't. No, this is no quoting.
But we're hoping to work with Hank Blue, which is a local brewer, as well as Old Majestic, which is a local brewer. And then we'll probably have some Yingling, which is, as you all know, a national opportunity. We like to work with them.
Yeah, if you've seen Mayor of Easttown, if you didn't know what Yingling was before, you know now.
You know now. We're going to have some Yingling.
Yeah, it goes really good with a hoagie.
It's, well, I mean, and as we kind of were joking fondly with golf, there's nothing better than a boat beer. Everyone loves a boat beer, and there's nothing bad about having a boat beer. Somebody kind of tried to knock a boat beer, and we said, no, a boat beer.
Who are these people?
Right?
Knocking boat beers.
We like boat beers. Anyway, so we're gonna have a good variety of beer, and we're also gonna have some White Claw. People are really into seltzers these days, so we're gonna have some seltzer.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You want to say, look, give the people what they want, even if I don't agree with it. You give the people what they want.
It'll be for me, but and we're also gonna bring in wine. We like to have a little bit of variety, so whatever you're drinking, we'll have it. Coca-Cola is another big sponsor, so we'll have some Coke products. One of the big things that is part of our mission, and also one of our big grants this year, is that we are reducing the use of single-use plastics and
yes,
it's trash-free waters. So we are actually going to try to use every single single-use piece of product is going to be aluminum.
Okay.
Or we're going to use reusable product. So
it seems that aluminum is the best recyclable product out of glass, plastic. I mean, the plastic is just we have to, we seem to have won the war on plastic straws. But I go to Starbucks, who is not a sponsor of this program, so no more shout outs for them. But I get a nice coffee or something, and they're like, well, they don't give you the straw. But then they give you this giant plastic cup with a giant plastic lid. And I'm like, this is a lot more plastic. It's going to do a lot more damage than that 8-inch straw. So I know there's been a lot more environmentally friendly-ish plastics that are sort of that eco-friendly. But the aluminum, I've even seen, I've been trying to buy this water that comes in a can. Have you seen the water that comes in a can instead of getting like the Poland Spring bottles? Also not a sponsor. But the water in a can, in an aluminum can that you can recyclable, is a brilliant idea. And I'm just surprised it hasn't caught on more.
Yeah.
Well, one of the big grants we're involved with right now is called Reduce the Use. And it's a grant that we received through the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. It's a grant that's going to last for 2 years. So we're trying to get as many downtown Mobile businesses as possible to get away from using single-use plastic.
Yeah.
And the idea is the litter that ends up on the streets of Mobile eventually finds its way into our waterways.
Yeah.
Because we host litter cleanups all the time, along the waterways. And the problem is drastic, and not a lot of people realize it. We also have what we call litter interceptors installed in a lot of sewer drains throughout the city.
And actually, Osprey Initiative is another sponsor.
Osprey Initiative?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And they're all over the country now. They're a big sponsor of ours, a big partner in a lot of things we do, and they're the ones who install those. We call them litter getters.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty cool. Sorry, continue, Caine.
Well, we clean those out once a month, and Osprey Initiative was the architect of this whole project. But the amount of debris you find in there is just absolutely overwhelming. And a lot of people really aren't fully educated on just how unrecyclable a lot of plastics are.
Yeah.
So
I would throw myself into that because, I'm guilty. I still use plastic bottles. They just, when I'm doing different events, someone's always like, before you go on stage, and they're handing me a plastic bottle, and, I'm not refusing that delicious water that's inside of it, and hoping that plastic ends up not, on the street or whatever.
Yeah. And obviously during, sort of the acute stages of COVID, a lot of businesses had to use more plastic for health reasons, especially takeout and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But we're helping these businesses. If they're making the switch to more eco-friendly materials from single-use plastic, sometimes there's an additional cost. And these are businesses that are really struggling to get by right now. They took
Sure.
COVID. So what we're trying to do is offset some of that cost by giving them a lot of PR, extra love, and, sort of generate some maybe passive aggressive peer pressure for other businesses in downtown Mobile to also make the switch. So it's been, so far, we're kind of just getting the program rolling, but we've been pretty pleased with how it's going so far.
Would you go as far as to fund like those nice brown paper recyclable foldable to-go containers instead of the gigantic plastic thing with the plastic lid that you probably should take home and reuse, but nobody ever does?
Yeah, through this grant, we're able to fund some things, but a lot of these costs will have to be incurred by the businesses themselves. Yeah. But again, we're working with them to try to minimize that cost as much as possible.
But that is one of the steps that for Bay Bites we are taking, is that we have added that cost onto our expenses for the event. So instead of having food trucks provide their own utensils, we are providing compostable options so that as people go to each food truck, they'll go to a center table and pick up their own little tray that's going to be a compostable option. That's one of those little paper trays.
I love that. And then let the food trucks concentrate on what they do best, make the food. So tell me about the food. How many food trucks are going to be there?
So,
how many options? Will I have a food coma by the third food truck, or do I have to just pace myself?
Well, ideally, you'll pace yourself. That's the goal. We have a lot of options, and we want you to taste it all.
Cece's very serious about this. She's like, you must pace yourself. Just pace.
I want you to taste every single one. But we have a lot of options. Traditionally it's a bit of a rodeo to wrangle all of the food trucks and then get them all situated in the park. To give you a little bit of an idea of what this layout is, the park that the festival is at is alongside of a river, between a river and a railroad. So
that was the name of my first album, Between a River and a Railroad. I don't know if you had it. I used to record under the rap name Mobilian. So
I love it.
Mobilian.
So original.
Yeah.
Well, it is difficult to time driving a line of trucks over a live railroad track when you only have one way in and one way out. So it can be tricky, but once we get everyone in, it's really fun. But that being said, we have every type of food. I'm looking at a list of, we've got empanadas, we've got South American food, we've got Greek food, we've got barbecue, we've got soul food, hot dogs, tacos, seafood. Bacon my day. I'm not really sure what that means, but it's got bacon involved.
Yeah, just bacon and then fill in the blank. And I'm like, yes, please, more.
Snow cones and popsicles, wings, and then we've got our alcohol related things. Usually we have a few other things here and there that pop up. We like to do a corn cart. Have not been able to lasso them quite yet, but they are one of the most popular options. It's like street corn, but they do it on the cob. It's real good.
So with the cojito cheese, like kind of right on or whatever, or probably saying that name, that cheese wrong, but yeah, I make my own. I call it New York street corn, and it's just like this like spicy chipotle. I take the corn, and we can grill. I have an electric grill in the back of the apartment building. It's okay. We can. It doesn't. It's not wood pellets or anything, but it's electric. We can get a nice we grill the corn on the grill.
Is it one of the ones that zaps the bugs when?
Yeah, it's like, so if you get a mosquito in your corn, it's like, that's a bonus, I think. But it's, they work, and they're not just take a little electricity, wait for the coil to warm up. All right, it's kind of pathetic. All right, I need a real grill. But let's just give me this moment. But I'll take that. I take the corn, grill it, shave it off with a nice big knife, mix it in with this like chipotle mayo, throw in that cojito cheese, salt, pepper, jalapeno, and I call that New York City street corn. It's my own invention. I should have my own food truck. All right, you guys don't have to say it. I will have my own, and I'll come down next year.
I was gonna say, do you want to come to Bay Bites? We're looking for a corn guy.
Yeah, you need a corn. That's right. You need a corn guy now. Oh.
Second, it's 4 to 9 p.m.
Okay.
I need a corn guy.
You need a corn guy, and I got about a month to pull this off. Let me see. And I got to get a food truck that can get over the railroad tracks. So,
or you can just bring a little cart. I mean, if you have like a case, you might be able to pull that off.
Yeah. You don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to have like a sports car food truck. You want to have like an SUV food truck. I get it. Yeah, you got to get over those tracks. So that's going to be unbelievable. So it's food you can do, and is it unlimited tastings, or do I get like a card and you punch the card at each place, or they stamp it?
So we sell tickets. Tickets are already up for sale right now. I guess we're calling it pre-sale because the cost will go up in a couple weeks. So right now you can buy tickets at our website. If you go to mobilebaykeeper.org/baybites, there is a link there to go buy tickets. And then at the gate, you can get in that wristband will get you access to the event and 2 drink tickets. Any truck you go to, you pay per truck. So that way the trucks are still making money at the event because they're all businesses. They've all struggled through COVID, and we want to make sure that they're also, making something from this event. Yeah,
come on, folks. These are small businesses. We were talking about small businesses being the engine to rev the economy after a crisis. Support your local food truck, support your local restaurant that probably also has a food truck right now because that's how they've been out and catering and stuff. And I also hear that kids 12 and under get in for free. So, older kids make those fake IDs. I encourage that. But also, we've got a lot of 12 and under listeners, I think. I'm not really sure, but, make sure. So little leaguers out there, good news. Get some free hot dogs and no corn, though, at this point. Sorry.
No, and it's a great event for kids. I mean, we've got a lot of sort of lawn games for children. So it's definitely a family friendly event.
Yeah. So
lawn games other than football, than tackle, other games
dunking,
other than Alabama tackle football.
We're going to have a dunking booth, and we're going to get some, hopefully, city officials to volunteer their services in the booth.
Dunking upcoming electees.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, I'm like, it would be really popular to make a lot of money. I could bring a bunch of these candidates that are running for mayor in New York City and have them at the Alabama dunk booth. And I would be first in line to line up, just loosen the shoulder up, get them,
that's the
get
goal.
them dunked.
We're also hoping to have games that like cornhole, and I think we have an inflatable skee ball, which is going to be kind of a fun one. Things that kind of bar style games, but that people might enjoy playing, just kind of entertainment, maybe some sidewalk chalk, face painting, those kind of carnival style things to entertain folks while they are enjoying their food and the music.
Well, I'm an auctioneer. So, and that's like my main business is an auctioneer, and people sometimes call me a carnival barker. So again, if you're down a corn guy and you're down a carnival barker, I might be very busy next month. And you just let me know.
Come on down.
I think I can pull this off. It's July. I mean, what do I have to do in July? It's summer.
You been to Alabama?
I have been to Alabama. I just drove through Alabama. My friend moved from New York to Austin, Texas. And, some people left. Those rumors are true. So he had to get his car out. He moved his stuff. He had movers, and he had to get his Jeep down there. And he said, road trip, old school, couple cities along the way. And I'm like, yes, this is going to be awesome. There's nothing going on anywhere. Let's just drive and go to gas stations across so that's pretty much what we did. We went, it was last August. So we went to Virginia, and we visited a friend who's got a whiskey distillery in Virginia called Ironclad Distillery.
Which distillery?
Ironclad Distillery. It's in Newport News.
Okay.
Right where they made, where the nuclear subs are made, the nuclear sub base. Mm-hmm. And they are right there. It is an awesome place. They had this old warehouse, and they were like, the dad was like, what do you think about a whiskey distillery? And their kids were like, we're in. They quit their jobs, full family affair. They had this beautiful tasting room. We had cigars and whiskey, spent way too much on souvenirs, all that kind of stuff. Then we went to Nashville for a night. There's nothing going on in Nashville. We're like headed down on Broadway. We're like, all right. And they're like, there's nobody here. I went to a bar. The guy's like, we're closed. I'm like, it is 9:30. I would normally not be getting out of bed yet in Nashville, getting ready for the night. I was like, New York's not even closed. We're at least open till, well, we were kind of closed at that point too. Our next stop of the drive, we're going through Alabama. And I was like, hey, let's go through Tuscaloosa. Let's go see the stadium. I've never seen the football stadium. So we kind of did it's all coming full circle to Roll Tide here. Mm-hmm. And we ate at Bama Jammas, I think, right next to the stadium.
Okay.
Big man, it's kind of like fast food diner looking joint.
I've only been to Tuscaloosa like once in my life.
Yeah. We kind of, I saw it there and I was like, let's go 15 miles out of our way here and 15 on the way back because, why not? Went to New Orleans, and New Orleans is pretty dead as well. And parts of Bourbon Street were a little sketchy. But we still went. We're like, see what happens here. You get knifed. It's a great story. It's a big deal. So we went there, and from New Orleans, we drove into Houston, and Houston into Austin. And then I flew back. But everything along the way was kind of shut down. So,
yeah. Well, now that everything's reopened, you're going to have to do it all over again, I guess.
I'm going to have to do it all over again in my food truck, bark, with a speaker on it so I can just bark, like with the speaker on the outside, like, vote for Jones, vote for Jones. I'm going to be like, I'm on my way to the Mobile Baykeeper Bay Bites Food Festival. And it'll just be a whole thing.
People are going to start following you. You're going to bring the whole crowd. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, I could use some followers on the road, on social media. Anybody, please. Anybody out there. But this is not about me. This is about you guys. But Caine, I know that you were also a veteran of the music business and music journalist.
Yeah.
So have you been able to, obviously, first of all, you've been to your share of music festivals, I would imagine. Yeah. Is there anything
we used to go to Bonnaroo. We did work Bonnaroo pretty heavily for about 10 years. I lived in Nashville. I was editor-in-chief of a magazine called American Songwriter.
Yeah.
For about a decade. And
they never published my stuff. They never liked any of Mobilionaire's stuff, which is weird.
So there's been a really successful festival that's been around for about 10 years down here called the Hangout Fest. And that was launched around 2010, just after the oil spill. And Hangout was hugely instrumental in helping resurrect the beach economy when it was really struggling with a decline in tourism because of the spill. And it's really just become kind of a juggernaut on the festival circuit. So
wow,
I feel
we would like to meet them.
Yeah, the festival culture is really kind of a good fit for the Gulf Coast. Obviously, New Orleans has Jazz Fest. They have Voodoo Fest. So we're hoping to sort of harness some of that vibe with Bay Bites. And, one thing to point out is Bay Bites is on a Thursday evening. Mobile kind of clears out in the summer. We're only about an hour from Gulf Shores, 15 minutes from Orange Beach. So everyone's sort of hitting the beach on the weekend. So we decided to hold it on a Thursday night, and no one really does any work on Friday anyway. So it's
the secret is out.
It's okay to be a little hungover at work on a Friday morning. But yeah, we're expecting a huge turnout. We're going to be capping tickets at 1,200. We feel like anything over that, the lines might be a bit long at the food trucks. We don't want it to be, like Bonnaroo.
You don't want to be a greedy like Bonnaroo where they're just like, we'll just pack the people in until and everything is $50 for a bottle of water. A can of water, I should say, can of water.
I think one year we had 1,300 people, and it was just too many. And at some point, like, this is a fundraiser for us, and obviously, like, we want to do the most that we can. And it's obviously like, we're really grateful that people want to come out and support us. But at the end of the day, we want everyone to enjoy it. And we want it to be the best experience possible. And we want it to be worthwhile and people to want to come back every year and keep coming back to support us. So the kind of making the best out of every every possible opportunity.
And yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it with the word experience, and that's what everybody wants at the festivals. And that's what puts July 22nd, 2022, or whatever, on their calendar to come back to Bay Bites, because the experience was awesome. And what was that festival feeling all about? What was Bay Bites all? Oh yeah, we got to go back to Bay Bites. It was so cool. We were there. It was Thursday night, then we got to head out for the weekend. It was like it immediately turned into a 4-day weekend, and that's it. It's like, yeah, you want to bring in that extra 100 people because that's another 100 tickets, and that's more revenue for our mission, which is really important and actually vital. But there's other ways to make money and provide a great experience. So I applaud you. I see it at events all the time when people say, look, maybe we won't sell this many tables for this gala dinner. Maybe we'll make it a little bit more exclusive. And there's something to that as well, that when people know, I think this year with the pent up demand, which is, if we're playing quarantine bingo, pent up demand is probably right next to pivot. And if you have both those at home, take a shot of Dos Hombres, but drink it responsibly, of course. Hey, we should get you some Dos Hombres for the festival. Maybe, if I'm bringing the corn truck down, I'm going to bring some DH with me, some artisanal mezcal. It's meant to be shared, right? But anyway, this is about that experience, and give the people what they want, but let them, what's the fun in going to something if there's going to be a 5-hour wait to get around all the food trucks? If you have that great experience, you'll tell friends, and you'll be like, and buy your tickets early because it's going to sell out. And they're not going to allow more people in because they want everybody to enjoy that have that feeling, have that experience. But Caine, did you lean on any of your old music connections to bring in some talent for this festival or any of the other festivals you work on?
Well, Simone French is an artist that I've enjoyed. I've seen her a couple times since I moved back to Mobile. We've also got a musician opening named Harrison McInnes. He's sort of a blues rock singer-songwriter, a little bit of Allman Brothers vibe. And I actually wrote my first song with Harrison when I was 14 in 8th grade. Wow. The Latin exam over our first beer, a Milwaukee's Best, in his brother's bedroom. So yeah, it's a little personal for me.
Yeah, I remember my first beer. Your first beer was a legitimate, cheap first beer. Well done, the Beast, Milwaukee's Best.
We've also got we're going to have a marching band play probably for about a half hour. And by it's going to be from one of the local high schools. And by marching band, I don't really mean like John Philip Sousa. Like marching bands here get pretty funky, and they're really a big part of Mardi Gras in Mobile. Mardi Gras started in Mobile, so these are like. But
it really started. It's a big deal here.
So are you telling the people of New Orleans that?
Oh yes.
You're welcome for this thing that has made your city, defined your city, which started with us?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
New Orleans, did you hear that?
They heard it.
A lot of people who aren't Mobilians get pretty annoyed by Mobilians reminding them about that. So I'll qualify the remark with that. But
you can hear the old corpses turning in their above ground graves. Wow, you are dropping all sorts of knowledge here. I love this. But before you continue on, are you going to be playing this song with him that you guys wrote when you were 14?
It still gets played in the downtown bars every once in a while, but I don't know. It might be a conflict of interest for me to join. My chops are a little rusty right now, but I've still got a month, so we'll see.
I can get behind that.
If you come down with the corn, I'll step up on the stage.
Deal. Like it. Challenge accepted.
I like both of these angles. I think that we should have corn and music from our own Baykeeper.
Yes, corn, music. Let's bring it together. Let's make it happen. So we're very excited about this, but you guys have other stuff going on. Now you have Bay Bash. Now that we have sufficiently promoted Bay Bites, what's Bay Bash all about?
So Bay Bash is our kind of end of the year gala. It is. Last year was kind of a blip, if you will, because of the pandemic. But typically, it is a really fun, formal event that we have circus type performers come to. We've had, I think, fire dancers and ribbon twirlers and like all sorts of fun type of performers come to, and we have a silent auction. And at that event, we tend to dress up and step away. We don't do we plan it, but we're not working the entire night. We tend to sit down and enjoy it.
Okay.
You expect to see us working and sweating and getting our hands dirty, blood, sweat, and tears all the way. But at Bay Bash, we are going to sit down and enjoy a glass of champagne if that's what it takes. It is a time to celebrate our accomplishments for the year, share what we've done with typically our major donors and our big sponsors, and kind of thank everyone for their contributions. And then kind of ask everyone to continue doing what they've been doing. And just take a moment to share with everyone like what we've all done together.
Yeah, it sounds like you need a live auction and a live auctioneer. So I know a guy. So just saying.
You need to take a trip down here.
It sounds like I need to move there at this point. I'm getting involved in all these festivals. Should I also get involved in Bay Inspiration? What's that one all about?
So Bay Inspiration was a little bit of a one-off. Typically, we do something called Bay Awakening, but this year with the pandemic, we recreated Bay Awakening to be Bay Inspiration as a virtual event.
Okay.
So, and it is our presentation of our annual report, typically. So what we've done year to year is we have a kind of a luncheon, and we just sit down and share our work from the year before. And we typically invite new members, potential members, people that we would like to invite to join us and share all of our work. And it's a little bit more catered to a new and different audience, as well as what we call visionary society members, which are kind of larger profile members, people who are capable of giving more year over year.
Your major gift donors, yeah.
Yeah, and major donors who can make a commitment for several years at a time. So those people, we try to kind of engage them at specific events, including Bay Bash. So that Bay Bash and Bay Awakening are their two big events. But this year, Bay Inspiration was kind of our take on Bay Awakening, and it was fun. It was different. We I don't know if you watched the recorded version of it online, but we had a fun virtual take on it. We gave out a few awards to some local inspiring businesses and individuals, and it was a good time.
And we always have a keynote speaker, someone from outside the organization. In the past, it's been the mayor of Mobile. This year, it was the president of the Waterkeeper Alliance, Gloria Rubin, who is most known for work on ER. I think she was the HIV addicted surgeon when Clooney was on there. That's the role she played.
Yeah,
she was a nurse. Okay.
Yeah. But,
so she's been great for the whole Waterkeeper movement. And I think her tenure as president of Waterkeeper Alliance started this year. So it was great to have her talk to our community just from a national perspective.
Now there's Waterkeeper, and then there's also Riverkeeper, which is RFK Jr.'s foundation. And I saw a picture of him on your website, which looked like it was maybe 20 years old, and your organization started around 1997. Mm-hmm. Was this an influence from the work that they were doing, or was this something that was started and then somehow he got involved?
Yeah, I think, the whole origination of Mobile Baykeeper was certainly local. There were some environmental issues going on with chemical facilities. Yeah. And a longtime Mobilian by the name of Jack Greer really got things rolling. We were originally known as Mobile Baywatch. And it was shortly thereafter that Casey Calloway, who just retired from Baykeeper to take a job with the city, became the first staff member. And she really led the organization for about 20 years and grew Mobile Baykeeper into what it was, from a little ragtag team to sort of a major kind of operation.
Yeah. I was a big fan of Baywatch and a few of the spinoffs, but I never saw Mobile Baywatch. I imagine that didn't, just a few It never got past the pilot episode, so you changed the name. Got it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to share a few more of our sponsors, if that's okay.
Yeah, please do.
A few shout outs. Our title sponsor for Bay Bites is Austell USA. You might have heard of them. They're instrumental in constructing what you might be familiar with as our the big ships that our military use.
Okay.
Pretty cool organization. AM&S Calvert. They are one of our corporate sponsors. Alabama Deep Sea Fishing Rodeo, which is actually the biggest fishing competition in the United States or
Wow.
world, I believe.
Alabama Deep Sea Rodeo.
Deep Sea Fishing Rodeo.
Deep Sea Fishing Rodeo.
Yeah, specifically. I would be a little alarmed to see a rodeo in the deep sea.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, Deep Sea Rodeo. No, that's not a thing. Deep Sea Fishing Rodeo. No, that we could see.
And like I said, I'm pretty sure that's the largest fishing competition in the world.
Yeah. If it was a deep sea rodeo, the reporter would just be like, I'm here on the scene and every animal has drowned. It's a nightmare.
Coca-Cola, another corporate sponsor of ours. Gulf Distributing Company, I mentioned, another corporate sponsor of ours. South Shore Insurance Underwriters, CBC Office Technologies, BBB Industries, Helmsing Leach Attorneys, Heritage Homes, Logical Computer Solutions, ELM. They are actually our employment agency. Like, they help us with all of our what's what I'm looking for?
Staffing
Needs. Thank you. Accelerate.
Leave it to a carnival barker. We're always ready with the improv word.
You are. You're good. Have you considered coming down here and helping us?
This is now the third or fourth job I have at the festival. So yeah, I better get down there.
Crow, Shields, Bailey, PC, Osprey Initiative, who I mentioned. They do work all over the country with litter in particular. Really great organization. EcoView, Windows, Doors, and Siding. Wilkins Miller, your CBD store of Westmobile, also all over the country, but we love the Westmobile location. Melanie Lyons, Attorneys at Law, Ryan and Wilkes PC. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Mobile Party Solutions, not to be confused with
Mobile Party Solutions in Mobile.
Yes. Actually, I think they're in Fairhope, but they are wonderful. They're helping us out with our inflatables. And many others to come, as well as many food trucks. But those guys in particular, especially big thanks to Austell.
So the CBD place will bring the edibles. These guys bring the inflatables, and we'll be ready to go. Got it. Okay. Now, look, I know we're running out of time here, so just two more quick questions. One, what can the average person do on a daily basis to just be smarter about waste? Because we all live somewhere around water. The stuff ends up in water. I walk down the aisles of like any grocery store, and it's just full aisle left and right of plastic single-use bottles. I try to carry my own refillable jug thing, but sometimes you forget, and we have to have water. So what's that kind of one thing we could all just do, or at least try and do?
Well, one thing I want to point out is, with environmental measures or environmental groups, a lot of people sort of feel intimidated. They feel like they don't know enough. They're not doing enough. So they essentially kind of shut down. They feel like it's a zero-sum game. And that's not the message at all we want to send. Like, obviously, plastic's going to be around for some time. The issue is management.
Mm-hmm.
This goes for all sort of environmental challenges. Like, as long as human beings are on this earth, there's going to be pollution. It's how we best.
We're good at that. That's like our thing.
How do we best address it, in our communities? My recommendation would be just to educate yourself. Make sure you do recycle aluminum, paper, and find out, what plastics are recyclable. And when you have the opportunity to choose an eco-friendly alternative, by all means do that. But it's also just get involved in your community, participate in litter cleanups, educate people. I mean, awareness and educational outreach is really part and parcel of our mission. And that's really where it starts. And that's what we're trying to do with the Reduce the Use campaign.
Okay.
And I would say that especially on a festival circuit, that I think that these are places where we have, thousands of people gathered at a time. And I think it's a great place to make a big impact. So one way that all of us can make that impact is by bringing, I know that a festival, sometimes people are, picky about bringing in our own, like fluids or whatever. But if we can bring in our own water bottles, even if they're empty, and have a refilling station, or if we can, not bring in plastic bags with our snacks, if we can bring in a backpack with snacks or whatever, so that we're not leaving behind those plastic bags, things like that. There are little ways that a lot of people can make a difference. One person making that change is not going to make a difference, but a lot of people making that change will make a difference. And while that per se is not necessarily the work we do, it is a big part of the mission that we're all involved in. And I think that each of us strives to accomplish that on our own, just as part of kind of the lifestyles we live here at Baykeeper. We don't like to eat takeout as much necessarily, just because we're trying not to bring home all of the takeout containers and things like that, just because we're invested in a lifestyle that is going to promote a better tomorrow, if that makes sense.
But when you do, like the businesses we're working with on this grant, they're using eco-friendly takeout materials. So we're encouraging people to patronize those
places. Sure.
It's a new Latin American restaurant in downtown called Roosters. Incredible food. Nova Espresso, a coffee shop, third wave coffee shop that cropped up about a year and a half ago. Braided River Brewing Company, a new brewery that opened last year. They take their name, Braided River, from the Mobile Tensal River Delta. So they really connect their business operation with this idea of clean water and community. And they've just been great stewards and great community partners. And
so just researching the businesses that you're patronizing.
Awesome. Now, before we go, you're both dog lovers.
Oh, yeah.
And Caine, you have Lula. And Cece, your dog is the one I'm really interested in because the dog's name is Styx. That sounds like a cute name for a dog until you see how you spell it. Styx. Now, I'm intrigued by this, and I want to know, I'm very intrigued by Lula. I'm sure Lula is a wonderful dog. The description of it looking like Petey from Little Rascals is one thing. But Cece, did you name this dog because of your obsession with Dennis DeYoung, Tommy Shaw, and the 70s, 80s rock and roll band known as Styx, Styx? I must know.
That's a very common question I get, and I hate to tell you that is not the reason why. Oh.
I was going to say this is the best of times right here, folks.
I should have known you were going to ask that. My dad he taught classics, and all of our pets have been named after Greek and Roman classical mythology. And my dog is black, like the river Styx.
Ah,
He's black, like the river that goes to the underworld. So my dog is named after a river, believe it or not, because I love water and my dog is black.
Well, and the river that goes into the underworld, they could probably have a rodeo in that area of the water, that underground, that underwater. That's an area they could have a rodeo there. That could be interesting. All right, but we have to give Lula a shout out. What's her thing? What is she all about besides having this cool movie star look?
Well, I would describe her as a special needs dog. She was a rescue from Nashville Humane. I think she's a Catahoula mix. Catahoula is sort of a Cajun dog that came from a lot of different breeds, but really athletic, sweet, good watchdog. Takes a while to warm up with strangers, but she's getting better at that.
She's a Southern girl, though, with all those great Southern breeds. Now, finally, one more time, how can we find out? Well, you gave us the website before. Give us the Bay Bites website one more time and tell me about the Instagram or wherever is the best place to find you on the social side of things.
Sure. It is mobilebaykeeper.org/baybites. And so that's mobilebaykeeper.org/baybites. And our Instagram handle is mobilebaykeeper @mobilebaykeeper.
Mobile Bay.
Yeah, we post frequently about Bay Bites. We don't have a specific Bay Bites Instagram. But yeah, if you visit that Bay Bites webpage, at the top of the page, there is a link that says buy tickets. Click that link. It'll take you to the ticket page. There's all the information you could ever want about the event, including a video from previous years, all of our sponsors, and a list of trucks we've had in the past if you're interested in looking at pictures of the food they've had, etc. There's a video of the marching band from a few years ago, and we'll get some information up on Simone French as well. So you can
Simone French. We're all looking forward to that. And I have to go because I have to go buy a food truck and I have to get it ready. I get my corn recipe ready for more than just 2 people. And Caine's got to run because he's got to get the pipes ready because he's only got a few weeks until he's on that stage. Caine, Cece, Bay Bites. It's all happening. Check it out, folks. And we'll see you next time on Festival Pass Stories. Guys, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you so much. It was great to meet you. Have a nice day.
This is Festival Pass Stories, a podcast series is told by the people who create and make festivals come to life. You will go behind the stage, kitchen, or studio door to hear the stories of passion and inspiration that started some of the world's most beloved festivals. Hear the startup stories and how an idea went from what if to what's next.